Gophers hold on versus Illinois in Champaign. What a wild one. They win their fourth in a row. Are you kidding me? Final score 25-17. Breaking it all down next on the Lockdown Gophers Postcast.
You are Locked On Golden Gophers Postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Gophers Postcast right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. We got Gophers Hall of Famer Ron Johnson, host of the Ron Johnson Show each and every Tuesday. Got to give him a follow on X at 3Ron Johnson. Kane Rob, host of the Locked On Gophers Postcast and podcast. He's on X. Give him a follow at Gophers Kane Rob. So much to get into. What a fun game, guys. A lot to dive into. But first, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel. Check this out. Place your first $5 bet. You're getting $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Check it all out over at FanDuel.com today to get started. Ron, fantastic game we just watched. Back and forth they went. In the end, though, Gophers hold on. Some fantastic defense we'll dive into. A great go-ahead drive by Max Brosmer at the end. And watch out, Gophers, 4-game win streak. Just kick us off, as always. Just what jumped out to you the most in this one?
Just the Gophers' resiliency. You look at some of the plays that didn't go their way, some of the plays that and I would say, you know what, honestly, the referees were consistent. Like, they weren't calling holds on anybody.
Yep.
And so normally I like whine and I gripe and I tweet. And I tweeted once, and then I thought back, and I'm like, I finished up the tweet with, well, they're calling consistent, though, because the Gophers got away with some stuff, too.
Consistent.
So even at the end of the game, the pass interference they could have called. Some officials would have called that because it was a close moment in the game. And they're like, oh, we don't want the game to be cited, if it should be a penalty. The Coy Parrish, the quarterback slide. I think they realized Coy was trying to pull up because the quarterback did slide late, even though Devin Gardner had no idea what was going on. Talking about, he hit him in the head. His butt hit him, which is the result of him trying to stop and turn, and the quarterback sliding into his butt. So that is not a hit to the head. And I think the referees all figured that out because Coy kind of was going, and then he tried to hit the ground and kill his own momentum. But it just the way Darius Taylor played, I mean, it shows he can do it in the backfield and at receiver. And some of his routes today showed, like, you could see that receiver background. So that stood out. Also, that this was one of the toughest matchups I had them in down the stretch. So there's a chance the Gophers can win. I mean, they can literally rattle off the next couple and end up with a 9-win season.
Yeah, we'll talk about the remaining 3 games. Obviously, Penn State lost to Ohio State. You got Wisconsin for the Axe at the end. But just going back to the refs and the consistency, how about the fact that they stopped the game to review that targeting call? And I think they got the call right at the end as well, too. But that obviously put the Gophers in a great situation down at the 2-yard line to go and get that lead at the end. That was huge as well. But Kane, just kind of big picture, just knee-jerk reactions. Again, a fantastic game we just got to watch now, and a 4-game win streak as well.
Yeah, I think it was a well-rounded game for the Gophers overall. Also, shout out Greg Harbaugh, because that call for the final score touchdown was fantastic timing, fantastically drawn up. I loved it.
Did you see him check into that?
Yeah,
see him check into that right at the end?
I loved it all. So I thought that was great. I mean, overall, the defense had some huge moments in this one. Darius Taylor, 189 all-purpose yards. It was a great all-around effort by the Gophers today.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we should spend a couple minutes on DT, man. I've been pounding the table for a game like this from DT for a while now, for a couple weeks. 22 carries, $131 on the ground, and then you're going to add in 9 catches for 58 more through the air. He's as dangerous enough as a running back. You start using him as a weapon in the passing game too, which we've slowly seen this kind of trend upwards the last few weeks. That's what really felt like gave them a huge edge today, and Ron, what you called a tough matchup that they needed, Max Brosmer needed as well, to keep moving the chains. How great was that to see them use him not only on the ground, but through the air as well. 31 touches today, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, overall, Darius Taylor, just, again, I keep saying I tweet and people respond, like, and I talk about it on the pregame show as much as possible, but people keep saying, like, is he going to get drafted? Is he going to get drafted? Like, the question is, how high is he going to get drafted if he can stay healthy? Like, he has to stay healthy. But again, I look at, like, Blake Corum, for instance. Darius Taylor, to me, gives me more offensively than Blake Corum does. Like, Blake Corum is a true just running back. He's not going to be able to line up at receiver and give you a true receiver route. He's not going to be a line up in the slot and give you a double move route. Like, he can actually catch the ball with his hands. He is getting bigger. You can tell his running back body is starting to take over. And I think, he's going to figure that out with like different workouts as he gets older, leaning out a little bit. He's just getting that grown up puberty you go through. You go through that first puberty, then you go through that football second puberty where your body kind of gets that freshman.
I'm still waiting on that, by the way. Still waiting. I don't know.
He's got that freshman 15, so he's got to figure out how to put it, where to put it, and what to do with it. Like when I came into school, I was 207, 210, and by my junior year, I was 225. And so you have to figure out what to do with that weight. Where does it go? How do I handle it? How do I move differently now? And so I think Darius Taylor is going to come with time, but he's an absolute weapon. And this, beating a ranked 24 team, I think North Carolina, you're going to look at North Carolina, even if you say the Michigan onside kick, whatever, they wouldn't have scored. And if you say, Iowa in the second half, they beat North Carolina, still would have made you a 10-2 season. Like the North Carolina for sure is a team you should have beat. And so now and I see why PJ Fleck says you can't look past the next team. You can't look past the next team. And so coming up, it's the championship season now. They're going to enjoy this. They're going to celebrate on the way back. They're going to have fun. They're going to, all the stuff. They're going to watch a little pro football Sunday night. They're going to watch a little Gopher film Sunday during the day. And then they're going to flush that thing to the toilet. And then Monday, Tuesday, we're right back at it with a new team. So, they're going to enjoy this and move on. But I can easily see why you don't want to do that, because you don't want to dwell on that North Carolina game or that Michigan game and be like, man, the ref screwed us. It's got to move on.
Yeah.
They just knocked off a top 25 team. So I think that's going to help their resume too when it comes to what bowl game they should get.
100%, Ron. Well said. Good breakdown there for sure. And I think what was so frustrating about the North Carolina game, they just looked flat all the way. It's week 1, man. You should be amped up. The good news is, though, they've gotten better, win or lose, every single week. And now, to your point, Ron, they're playing their best football when it matters most in November. Daniel Jackson, 5 catches, 74 yards. We talk about him every week. I need Ron's 2 cents, his quick take, because you played the game. How great, how savvy was that deep ball catch on the left sideline when he didn't react too much, and then he just popped his hands out at the last second, so the DB had no time to react. Did you catch that play specifically live at home, and what'd you think of that?
Yeah, like I tweeted it right away. There's a tweet out there, and I just said, for those that haven't done it before, I've done that numerous times. I did it against Wisconsin. I got to find that DVD. That's how old I am. It's on DVD, but I'm gonna pull that up. But there was a Wisconsin one where the announcer said the same thing. Like, I didn't see the ball at first. Like, I just was running down the field, staring at the safety. Me and the safety are looking eye to eye, and I know the ball's coming, but I don't want him to know it's coming. And so I'm just running, looking at him, and at the last minute, I just look up, like directly over my head, and it falls right in. And we have been working on that play all week, heading to the Wisconsin game. It was a flea flicker. And the goal was, if I run at the safety, like a flea flicker, I want him to think I'm trying to block him, and then I want him to think I'm just running you off, man. Let's go run down the field a little bit. And so I didn't want him to think flea flicker. And as the ball's coming at the last minute, I catch it, and you starting to see him like, what did you where'd that ball come from? And then I stiff arm him, and I get down. Should have been a touchdown. They said I stepped out at like the 2-yard line, BS. But I get to the 2-yard. It was like a 70, 80-yard play, but I get down to the 2. They claimed I didn't get in the end zone. But when Daniel Jackson did that, I had the same thought, like looking over your shoulder, basically over your head, and trying to just relax and not quickly go up and show the DB, because DBs are taught to play your hands. And that's why you notice is Daniel just running, looking back. The DB kind of looks back like, oh, wait, what? Where's the ball? Where'd that come from? Because he's now looking back to see, is the quarterback scrambling? Did somebody else get the ball? And then you see him look at his safety like, dude, you got to yell ball. Like, because that's what they're taught to do. When they yell ball, everybody knows, okay, it's coming my way, or it's up in the air. Nobody yelled ball, I'm guessing, for Illinois, and that's why he was so pissed off at his safety.
Yeah, well said. Great breakdown there as well, because you're right. He was first thing he did was look at his safety, say, dude, you got to help me out here. You got to give me some sort of heads up. Either way, if that safety's shouting something or not in real time, I doubt that's enough to make a difference, but who knows? Regardless, one of the great savvy catches to add to the highlight reel for DJ, for sure. Plenty more deep dive on this one. Got to talk about the defense today. They were rock solid. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, they got something for every football fan. A huge payout for every new customer with what I think is without a doubt their best promo of the year. And with FanDuel, what's so great about them, when you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can go check out the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you're placing your bets. Check this out right now. FanDuel's get you started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed with your first $5 bet. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com/lockedon today. Check it all out over at FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. Again, one more time, FanDuel.com/lockedon for $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. So, Kane, Ron said they called it consistent today, the refs that is, and I agree. But regardless, one thing that did drive me a little nuts was the penalties. 7 penalties to only 2 for Illinois. Granted, again, that big targeting call at the end, that was a huge momentum swinger for the Gophs. But it just felt like, oh, man, this is going to do them in, at least for a second, all these penalties. They just kept piling up in one direction versus Illinois. I looked at the stats about third quarter, 0 penalties. It's like, what's going on? So they got to clean some of that up. I don't know if you want to take that and run with it, or I just wanted to ask you, what else drove you a little nuts today like that did for me?
I think that was a little bit driving me crazy a little bit, just a lot of the at the line of scrimmage penalties, but I feel like that just comes down to a little bit of discipline. I know Ariante Ursary had 2 of them, and he's our best player on that offensive line, so it's maybe a little bit uncharacteristic, but I mean, they found a way to get it done. It was a bend, don't break mentality, and I feel like a lot of the people hung tough throughout this game. I mean, shout out to Elijah Spencer, too. I feel like he doesn't get enough love across the fan base as he probably should for the season. I think he crossed over the 400-yard territory this game, but overall, he just seems to make huge plays when we need him the most. He had 2 or 3 third down conversions in this one, especially holding on to that one where he got the targeting hit. And I mean, it hit him clear across the face, and he still held on to the ball and went down, got us down to the 2-yard line with the penalty. So I think as long as they keep playing tough and keep finding a way, this Gophers team is dangerous against anybody to play on the schedule.
Yeah, well said. Defense was fantastic, too. Let's spend 5 minutes on this defense, man. Luke Altmaier can sling it. We know that. Zachary Franklin, he's a certified beast, but okay, they're going to get theirs once in a while for sure. But all in all, and we were talking about this before we jumped on, when they weren't playing that soft prevent defense like they did at the end of the first half, PJ, by the way, was going in the locker room. He got interviewed. He said, I thought there was 5 seconds on the clock. Or excuse me, 3 seconds on the clock. So, 1 play left. Somebody's got to tell me there was 5 seconds on the clock. But all in all, when they weren't playing that soft prevent defense, they were fantastic. And it just feels like this defense continues to get better and better week in and week out. Ron, what did you think about the defensive performance today? Very rock solid, up and down the board, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, even the third quarter, I think Luke Altmaier, if I'm not mistaken, went like 0 for 7 or something like that. He was 12 for 15 at halftime, and then I think at the end of the half, he was 12 for 21. So was that 0 for 6? So he was 0 for 6 in the third quarter. That the third quarter or second half even, that's been kind of the Achilles heel of the Gophers at times, where they kind of like fall back into this weird pattern. But they had Luke Altmaier under control for most of it. And at the end, he came through. He had a big fourth quarter with he finished 20 for 33, but he only had 26 yards in the touchdown. I think the Gophers did a great job. The only touchdown they gave up, and I think this was mental, was when Wally went out. And you bring in number 18, and for Aiden Gooseby not to notice, okay, I don't have Justin Wally. We're going some type of man 2, or like a 2 safeties behind the man. I got to make sure that it's an underneath pass and not something deep to my new young corner who doesn't get a lot of time from Manitoba. Like, you got to step up and say, I'm going to help this guy on the corner route. I will give up the flat route, and hopefully my backside safety can help out any type of post or seam. He's got to go help out the young guy. Or as Corey Heatherman maybe should have done, and say, let's bracket this guy and then let's play some type of quarters. I want to drop everybody back in quarters. I'm going to play underneath coverage. We're not going to give up a touchdown. Let's give up some underneath. Let's rally tackle, and then let's go back and rush 3. Like, I would have rushed 3, but standing up 3, meaning I would have had one guy with his hand in the ground. I would have bought Jack Henderson in the game, and then I would have had my best rusher, whether it was whether you would go with Strigow, I probably would have went to Anthony Smith, the way he's been playing lately, standing up. I could have even seen him going with Anthony Smith, Jack Henderson, and then, whoever you want with their hand in the ground, but just those three standing up, moving around, hand in the ground, stand up, move, so that he doesn't know. And then the minute you rush three, everybody else drop back in coverage, and then you give up the short stuff. And I think, and then if the quarterback runs, rally tackle. I would not have went man there knowing that my guy Justin Wally just went out, and that was the only thing I think that they gave up to Luke Altmaier, in my opinion.
Yeah, well said. And props to Luke Altmaier for taking advantage of the one opportunity it felt like that they really have. A lot of, obviously, other quarterbacks who are at the collegiate level maybe don't have the talent to take advantage of that and have the weapons to go target somebody like that. That's, very same play as well. You brought up Anthony Smith, number 0. I was going to say, every week we've been talking about Coy Parrish. Anthony Smith, man, he's turning into a serious piece in the trenches. Another fantastic day for him. Kane, him, or who else is really jumping off the tape as a key cog in this defensive system the last few weeks?
Anthony Smith has been playing on a whole nother level. Love to see that confidence going. That was something Coach Winston De La Tibodeau was talking about heading into the season, was just really trying to build his confidence, because scouts have been coming through and asking, like, who is 0? Who is this guy? Like, he's built like an NFL guy. And now you're starting to see the production carry over. So love that. I thought that hit by Justin Wally in the early first quarter that forced the fumble on Luke Altmaier was huge. Like, the way that they kind of held him still and then got it out on his way down was perfect. But one thing I love to see too is Jackson Howard starting to get a tick up in snaps too. The homegrown Minnesota kid, he went out to LSU but transferred this way. Feels like he's getting more comfortable in the system, and now he's seeing more time on the field and making little differences on that defensive line. So I look forward to seeing his continued growth on the defense as well.
Yeah, again, just feels like they're kind of firing on all cylinders. Yeah, you got the names that we all know and love, but right now they're just playing all 11 guys as just one unit. They're just playing their best football right now when it matters most. Coach's corner, give me one thing that stuck out to you as far as the coaches go, PJ Fleck specifically. I feel like there's a couple different directions we could go. The fake punt, I actually love the fake punt. They didn't convert it. Sometimes you got to give props to the opposing team. Sometimes they make a great play too, but you just don't see that aggressive play calls from PJ a ton. I thought the design was good. I don't think you can draw it up any better. And again, I brought this up before, but just the defense before halftime was just a little too soft. Again, maybe some confusion or miscommunication as far as how much time was left. It sounds like, again, he gave an interview going into the locker room, but outside of that, I mean, not too much stuck out in the negative anyways, Ron. What did you think about that fake punt that looked good at the snap of the ball? Just a great play by the Illinois defender.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. So, I was watching the game back a little bit, and I personally, when you look at down and distance, what the defense have been doing, I get it. You get the fake punt, you put the nail in the coffin, you can kind of really – I wasn't a fan of it. Like, I wasn't a fan of it, and I thought maybe – and again, I like the call, but I wasn't – and let me be straight on this. I like the call. I wasn't, like, really too keen on how Mark Crawford ran it. Like, to me, it felt like he should have hit go a little sooner, and he was still kind of jogging like, oh, I got this. Oh, wait, no, I don't.
Turn on the jets.
And
let's go.
He waited too late to go full speed because he had the edge. And at the very start of it, when he started to do his, like, Australian kick thing, it looked like it was going to be a conversion. And then all of a sudden, he's still, like, in first gear. Like, and maybe he doesn't have – maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he doesn't have another gear. I just felt like he was stuck in mud for a little bit. And so I personally, like, I like the call. I just wish he would have maybe run a little bit faster sooner and just know, like, if you're going to get stopped, you're going to get stopped. There's no reason to keep trying to be sneaky. Go get the first down.
Just go. Yeah, make the decision, green light, throw on the jets. Maybe that's all he's got. Maybe we'll see it at a pro day or combine someday. But
might have been showing his age on that one.
That did not look like a sub.
He is 37 years old. So
That's true. Kane, coach's corner. Give me your 2 cents on PJ's day at the office, or either of the coordinators' day as well.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what Greg Harbaugh dialed up in a lot of this game. I love that he leaned into the run game because this Illinois team had given up 2 100-yard running backs to the Purdue team, almost 2 to Penn State. So I thought this was a day Darius was going to eat, and he did, and I'm glad they leaned into that. But they also got him involved in the pass game. But I'm still a huge fan of that final touchdown play call that they had, Max Brosmer checking into it. But overall, I mean, Harbaugh had been working on that call and knowing when to check and whatnot all week. So loved that call and was a huge one for the Gophers.
Yeah, well said. We're 9 games into the season now, 3 games left. What is one thing you thought for sure we'd see more of by now that really just hasn't come to fruition or transpired yet for the Gophers? What would that be for you, Ron, if anything?
So I kind of wish that we would see a little bit more of consistency from on the ground. I mean, honestly, like when you look at Darius Taylor today, and granted, this team for Illinois, their defense was not great. And so I think that's part of it. The Gophers just exposed what they were bad at. But I just always wondered that is like, at what point are we going to see a true run game? We saw it today, but I just wish we had saw more of this throughout the year of like, and it's tough. You don't want to run Darius Taylor into the ground. I think that's the other thing is like, how much can we put on this plate without like completely destroying his legs?
Right. Brosmer, by the way, 37 pass attempts. I love to see that, but you're right. It's a give and take for sure. And it's a balancing act between the run, especially when you got somebody as dangerous and as lethal as Darius Taylor, for sure. Kane, one thing that just maybe hasn't you just thought for sure, hey, I'm making my preseason predictions here. I feel good about this prediction. And we just haven't seen that much yet this season.
Yeah, I had the Gophers O-line as a top 4 O-line in the conference, and I feel like they haven't really lived up to that. And it's crazy because their starting left guard was out today. They moved their right guard to left guard, and then they had kicked Quinn into the right guard, and then they had a brand new right tackle. So a huge shift on the O-line today, but then they had a massive push and a lot of running yards today. So we'll be curious to see if that changes anything at all or how serious that injury is to Tyler Cooper, but got some progress today, and hopefully they can keep building on it.
Ron, the people want to know what game you're watching right now. What
game's coming down the wire? I rewatched that punt. Like I'm rewatching the punt again.
He's
the fake
film.
Punt. Yeah, I am.
He's watching the All-22 already, guys.
I rewatched the punt again, and honestly, Mark Crawford is running full speed. So
that might be it, dude.
Like that might be his top speed. The only thing I would say is sooner. Like he hesitated if like I would have Australia punted run to the right like you're gonna punt, like so hold it down like a punt, because if you watch it, as soon as he gets it, he kind of tucks it right away. If he kind of runs to the right but runs forward and like holds the ball towards the ground, like, oh, I'm a punt it, and then goes, I think the other guy kind of stands back. He right away ran after the punter because he got through clean. Also, the two personal protectors block him. If they block him, it's an easy first down because everybody else is running chase. So I don't know if they were in like a man or a true return. Like they were trying to set up a return because you could see them trying to set up a wall and they're trying to all like go to the right. Like nobody's looking at the punter. And that's normally you have one or two guys in punt safe. So there was some type of return on because everybody goes and gets a guy and everybody takes off running to the right. And the personal protector, oh my God, when they watch this back, like they're going to be like, dude, if one of the two of you just block him, we get the first down.
Give me a chip, get in his way.
So the first guy to the right of that guy, he goes forward, but the guy to the left goes left. Where are you going? Just both of you get in his way. Just get in his way. You can put your hands up even. You don't even have to block him. Just stop him from running full speed to the punter. But yeah, I think Mark Crawford was running full speed now.
So PJ, you've been on notice. You're going to get a
I like
Ron
the play.
Johnson.
No, it was a great play call. It was just, it was poor execution. So a lot of times people right away go to Twitter, and I haven't even been on Twitter yet to see what the response was to that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to hate that call. Oh my God, why'd you do it? And I'm glad I actually rewatched it because I know we're going to do a show with PJ on Tuesday. Yeah. Now I don't have to come in there and say, PJ, why'd you do that? Like, I know why you did it because it would have worked. If everybody executes, it works. And so everybody, I feel like they left one guy unblocked. You have to still get in that one guy's way who's coming towards your punter. Even if it's a punt, you still get the guy. Like, that's what I don't get. If it's a punt, the person protector should hit the guy coming free. Neither of them touched him. So I don't really get it.
That's a Ron Johnson All-22 breakdown you can only get right here on Locked On Golden Gophers Postcast. Got to talk about the schedule on deck. We got Rutgers up next. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. More than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, guys, it's just by far the easiest and the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. It's so simple. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. You watch the winnings roll in. Football season still in full swing. So whether it's anytime touchdowns, receptions, tackles, sacks, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your PrizePicks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the PrizePicks app and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. Okay, 3 games left here. Before we dive into this Rutgers preview and just, Penn State, Wisconsin, had a question here. If we beat Penn State, let's just say if we run the table, is a BCS playoff game possible, Ron? Is that even possible looking at these standings, BCS playoffs?
No, I don't think so. It's going to take a lot. With 3 losses, the problem is there's way too many one-loss teams.
Right. There might be a 2-loss team, but not a 3-loss, I don't think.
And I totally forgot about Penn State. I'm glad you reminded me of that in MJ in the chat. I totally forgot because I kept thinking this was the toughest game. Actually, Penn State was the one that had the toughest game. So that one coming up, if they beat Penn State, again, I think that's just not Halloween candy.
Well, it's that time.
That's my sugar. Like
you get a 3-day buffer. It's November 2nd.
Energy up. I just needed some sugar to get my energy up. You came back from commercial too fast. But when you look, I got a pop over here, and I got my candy just to get my sugar up because I don't eat a lot of sweets. So
who's Halloween really for? The kids? I don't know.
That's the tax. We tax our kids. Right. So if I go out with you, there's a candy tax.
That's right.
We also pay our kids for candy. So we tell them they put all their candy on the ground. I go to the bank, I get cash, and so I tell them 4 pieces of candy. I kind of do a math, like we do math, like big pieces of candy is $1.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want to give up their big pieces. You get $1 for each one, and then they kind of put it. My wife has a whole formula for this, and then they put it in like a pile, and then we have like a little scale,
like a value system. It's
it's like being in a candy store.
Ecosystem.
It's like a candy store, and so we tell them like you can either keep the candy or you can take the $24, and that's up to you. And here's the thing, like I hope my kids never realize
this. Is like Deal or No Deal at the Johnsons after Halloween?
Pretty much. I hope my kids realize this eventually. Take the money because $24 you actually get more candy for $24. But I'd say so. Somebody just said, was that Dennis? Jackie said if they beat Penn State for sure will be a good bowl game. Of course, you beat Penn State. Now here's the thing though. You beat Penn State, you still got to beat Rutgers and Wisconsin. You can't lose to those two after beating Penn State. Correct. And that's what has happened in the past. Like that happened to me when I played. We went 8-3. We beat Penn State. We beat Ohio State. We lost to Indiana. Now, get it. Indiana was good because they had Antoine Randall. And we lost to Ohio University. So like there were some dumb losses in that 3 losses. Like we beat Purdue, or we lost to Purdue in overtime. Sorry. But we beat Wisconsin. Like it was just one of those years where we beat Iowa. So you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and then you're supposed to split with the great ones. They just split with the Illinois. That could have been a loss. They lost to Michigan, could have been a win. They lost to Iowa. That's a split. And I think if this one, they beat Penn State, this is the Glenn Mason formula all over again. Glenn Mason always said, beat the teams you're supposed to beat, split with the good ones, and you will have a 3 to 4 loss season, which is 8 wins, 8 to 9 wins. Right. That's very sustainable as far as like just keep doing that, getting the recruits, and then eventually maybe you kick the door in like Indiana's doing right now, and you can possibly have an undefeated season. So that's where I look at with this team is Power 4 now. I forgot we got rid of a 5th conference. It's coming back though. I saw a bunch of teams might be joining it. But a Power 4 team that's 1 or 2 losses is going to be in front of a Gophers that's 3 losses. And that's going to they're always going to look at it. The only way it works for the Gophers is this Penn State win, and Penn State runs the table. So meaning the Gophers win over Penn State looks even better, because if Penn State loses to Minnesota and then has a fall off, then they're going to say, oh, like Minnesota just exposed what they're really bad at. And they're, just like USC. USC was supposed to be this great giant, and now everybody's talking about how bad USC is. Like, make up your mind. And so I think for that, like when you look at the Gophers, they can, but it would take a ton of stuff for them to get in the top 12. Yeah. Here's the crazy thing. Indiana might not even end up, and even if they run the table, there might be a way for Indiana to not end up in there.
That's crazy.
It's just weird how it sets itself up.
So let's
which would be asinine if they don't. By the way,
it would be asinine for sure, and we would all agree on that.
I just know if they lose one, because they still have to play. They have to play a big one too coming up.
They have to play Ohio State. Yeah,
Ohio State. So if they lose to Ohio State, but then run the table, like Indiana with one loss to Ohio State, who knows if they even want to put them in it? And that's the crazy thing about this committee.
So, Kane, how do we go 1-0 next week again and turn this 4-game win streak into 5? Rutgers, not great, but like they're not a gimme, right? There's no gimme game. So how do they keep this momentum rolling and turn this into a 5-game win streak next week?
Yeah, I think it's two things. I mean, I think it's given Ethan different pressure looks and whatnot. You know what his weaknesses are, and he's shown at Rutgers that those weaknesses are still there. So if you can attack him, show him mixed concepts and really put the pressure on him, I think you can get a couple turnovers and force them into issues. But they have a strong running back, but they have a poor run defense as well. Wisconsin's running back had 198 yards on him. Washington's running back had 148 yards on him. USC's running back had 94 yards on him. And that was in the last 4 or 5 games. So Darius Taylor could be up for another huge game next week.
Yeah, give me another 30-touch game for DT. Good things just happen when DT touches the ball. Don't complicate things. Ron, last one, then we'll get out of here. You're a Gophers Hall of Famer. If I said you could only win one game between Penn State and Wisconsin, which one do you want more? Penn State because it's the big upset, or Wisconsin because it's the axe? And
give me Wisconsin. I don't even need to think about it. Give me Wisconsin because Penn State, Penn State at number 4, even if you lose to that and you beat Rutgers and Wisconsin, like that's still legit. You lost 4 games. You lost to a top, like a really good Michigan team who's not looking so good anymore, but a really good Michigan team at the time. The North Carolina is going to be the red eye, or the black eye, if you want to call it. Like they're going to be the red scarlet letter. That North Carolina loss is going to haunt them because they know how bad North Carolina was, how good Max Brosmer is, and that was his very first game. If his very first game is Rhode Island or one of these other teams, and then North Carolina flops and you play them third and not open with them, I think you're talking about a totally different team. I think if that happens, you probably don't lose to Iowa because you have a different undefeated mindset heading into play Iowa. You have an undefeated mindset heading into play Michigan. So I think it changes the season. Putting him against North Carolina first, I think brought up a lot of question marks for people of like, oh, is this kid really going to be the kid we think he's going to be? The lights are so bright. He's never played. And I think him and like Ethan Robinson said the same thing, like coming from Bucknell. Like I think Ethan Robinson's biggest crowd was like 5K or something. Max is probably somewhere in there, 10,000 maybe. All of a sudden you walk into the big lights and it's 50,000+ people. That's a lot. So no, but give me the Wisconsin win. Give me the Wisconsin win all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Penn State, hey, if you lose to a number 4 team, who cares? Give me, and they might not be 4 at the time because they just lost to Ohio State, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I didn't watch the finish, but I thought they lost. That they're going to probably end up 6th or 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
But you still can give me Wisconsin. Give me what I want that. I want that axe. I want them back on the plane coming back.
You want the axe, man.
Black Friday. I want to feel good about my shopping experience. I don't want to buy a bunch of stuff and then be sad what I bought because it goes
shopping remorse. Yeah. Shopping therapy.
I want to be okay with my 70-inch TV.
Retail therapy going on. No, it's the X, man. I figured
I need a new office TV because this one I'm noticing is lagging. Like when I'm trying to do my film study, I could tell it's a little bit slow, and I'm like, what the heck?
We got to get that 120 hertz going on.
Exactly. This is probably, I think this might be the TV my wife bought me when we first got married. So it's like the old 32-inch or 40-inch maybe, I can't remember, TV from like the first, like when the Roku.
The first LCD.
Well, no, just the Roku. When the Roku TV came out.
Oh, the Roku built in,
Yeah, built in. It was like the first one. So that was early in our relationship when Roku finally came out, and it's in my office now. And I'm like, it's a little slow. I'm like, I need to write off. I need a new.
The thing is, man, I don't even need one. They're so cheap now. I mean, they used to be so expensive.
I just want the faster speed, but I also want to do it because I want to feel good after the Gophers win. I want to be able to watch film Friday night. Yep. Like I'm going out Thanksgiving. I'm going to go out Thanksgiving. I know it's like 8 p.m. I think as they start doing those sales.
Yeah.
And then 6 a.m. on Friday. Like I'm going to get up 6 a.m. Friday. I'm going to go do my shopping. And then Gophers pregame show starts at 10 a.m. I'm going to do that. People are going to be like, well, why are you shopping with a suit? Hey, I got to be on TV in like 2 hours, man. Just give me my TV and stop.
No, they won't ask because they'll know. Oh, honey, that's Ron Johnson. Come on.
Like, why is this guy shopping with a full suit on? Because I got to work in 2 hours, lady. Give me my TV. But yeah, that's my plan because I love Black Friday shopping and I'm not giving it up for the Gophers. I'm still going to do it, but I'm just going to do it in the suit.
Kane, last one. Who's your Heisman vote going to? Last week I asked Ron. I'm assuming his answer doesn't change to Travis Hunter. Who's your if you're on the committee, votes tomorrow, who's getting your Heisman vote?
Travis is a good one. I'm going to go different than Ron then, and I'm going to say Ashton Jeanty. I think he is just absolutely balling for Boise State out there, and hopefully he can keep – I think he's 100 yards behind the pace of Barry Sanders, so if he can get back into it, I think he has a case.
Yeah, I just traded my Dynasty first-round pick. It's projected to be the 1-1, so now every time I look at Jeanty, I'm like, oh, no, I made a massive mistake. We got to get out of here, guys. Gophers hold on in Champaign. Great game. Final score 25-17. They moved to 6-3. They got this red-hot 4-game win streak now to build upon. Huge shout-out to all the everydayers that always make us your first listen. Much appreciated. Got to go check out all of Ron's work on X at 3RonJohnson. Plus, you can always check him out every Tuesday on the Ron Johnson Show. Kane Rob, Locked On Gophers. He's at Gophers Kane Rob. And remember to like this video. Go subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place, versus Rutgers. But until then, signing out.